but it's a Friday, so who cares? My best friend Kelly in Vegas joining the show, and I know tonight that she's going to be sitting at a bar watching baseball, right?
No, why would we talk about anything? It's football season. What are we going to talk about?
The baseball playoffs are on. Don't you want to watch the ALCS, the NLCS?
Not really. I don't have anything left alive. Hit a couple of win totals, lost a couple of win totals. Baseball season was boring, like expected. Football season is here. College basketball season is right around the corner. Actually, it was funny. Somebody texted me last night. Cal, do you like any NBA regular season win totals? Do you like any NBA futures? And I was like, no. And he was like, what? And I go, do you think that I want to bet on guys who don't give 110% effort? Do you think I want to bet on guys who fake injuries and sit out? Do you think I want to bet on teams that don't care night in and night out and coaches who rest players? And then, oh, by the way, we don't find out until 14 minutes before tip off. No,
LeBron's already out the first month of the year.
I'm just over it. I got to focus on what I'm good at. And then right now that's NFL, which is insane to say, just completely insane.
Well, that's because the dogs are barking. I mean, primetime dogs have been fantastic.
I'm not only playing dogs. I laid it with the Broncos this week. I laid it with Seattle this week. I laid it with the Lions this week. So it's not like I'm only playing dogs, but yes, the barking dogs are helping significantly.
I agree with you on the Lions, by the way, -5.5. I just feel like that secondary, even though it's banged up, the Bucs have no receiving core.
Yeah, but they haven't had any receiving core. And here's the real reality. When I have to pick every single game on the board for one of the contests that I'm in, literally every single NFL game is so tough to do. But it's been better than if I just pick 5. So I said this earlier on Wager Talk today, and Andy was like, no way. And I said, yes. And then I just sent it to a different group chat. I am 56-38. That is almost 60% on the NFL season where I have to pick in this contest every single game. And I think it's because when you have to pick every single game, you just have a slight opinion on some others and they just happen to go your way versus, all right, I've spent all this time. This is why I like the Saints. This is why I like the Titans. This is why I like all these garbage football teams. And then those are the ones I decided to play in the super contest. Like, how completely asinine is that?
But I kind of like the Saints this week at +5.5.
I love
running back Kamara against the bad
I think they're gonna win the game. As a matter of fact, 5.5 is my favorite underdog spread. That's why I was on the Bengals last night.
Why? I heard you say that on Bet On It, by the way, at Wager Talk, which everyone should check out. Why 5.5? Okay. I hate that number.
So Chris from Fade You said this in our group chat like 3 years ago, maybe. And I was like, what is this kid talking about? And he's like, Kelly, 5.5 point underdogs win outright all the time. And I'm like, what? 5 is such a dead number, right? Like there's this whole argument about all of these dead numbers. 5 is happening more than it ever has happened before. Last night's game could have landed 5, by the way, if Aaron Rodgers went down and scored. That being said, I find it to be really, really interesting because I've been paying more attention to what dogs have been winning outright, and he's absolutely right. So that 5.5 point spread is it's just tricky enough because it's usually involved with a bad team. Last night, the Bengals, right? We saw it on Monday night with the Bears. Bears were 5.5 point road dogs at the Commanders, won the game outright. I didn't want anything to do with the Bears. John Murray gave them out with Sammy P on chicken dinner, so I bet it. I was like, all right, I'll join you guys. A little Monday Night Football action. But it's been really interesting to kind of like see that whole progression and then also see where the lines are moving off key numbers this year. We just saw 6.5 pop up on the Pats. And I thought, oh boy, I'm praying for all of you that put in Pats and Survivor.
I am not. I know everybody's all in on the Pats and the whole revenge angle.
I get it.
It's just a little too public for me, and I'm not buying it. And also, are you like the line move now as well? As you said, it's kind of fishy.
Well, it's definitely fishy first and foremost, but yes, everybody loves a good narrative, right? Mike Vrabel headed back to the team that fired him. Hey,
and also just fired their head coach.
Exactly. If you don't think the Titans aren't going to be a little rejuvenated after that and be like, it was that guy. I mean, there are still some veterans on that team. There are still some gamers on that team. Yeah, Cam Ward, not the greatest by any means, but he showed some flashes week 1. I do wonder, had that game gone a little bit differently, maybe his confidence would be a little bit better. You have to remember, his receivers dropped a ton of passes to start the season, and it's just kind of been that trickle effect. They did get the nice win, though, at Arizona. I thought that they would follow it back up with the Raiders. again, I still stand by the Raiders. Friends don't let friends lay points with the Raiders. Okay, great. The Raiders covered. Congratulations to everybody that had them. I had a nice CLV trophy on the Titans +6. I'm not taking the Titans this week, but I can tell you right now, every money line parlay, every teaser, and everybody in Survivor is going to be on the Patriots. And that is usually a recipe for disaster.
Mhm.
Now, the past 2 seasons, I think it was Drew Martin said it on The Hustle or something a couple of years ago. He's like, hey, the books are getting chalkier, right? There is this like all of a sudden this parity between these NFL teams. Well, guess what? Now we're looking at it again 2 years later after 2 square years of NFL. And here we are again. Now all of a sudden that cream is no longer rising to the top and these NFL teams are on an equal playing field. So I find it very interesting to see how the NFL has evolved. They changed the rules, whether it's the kickoff, the PAT, and yet the point spread is a great equalizer. And now the books are back to making money.
Another team that's public this week, and even though I have to check the bet slips, but just public amongst people I've spoken to. I've been on a bunch of shows this week, and our group chat, everybody loves the Chargers. I like them too. I am now worried that everyone I've spoken to loves the Chargers at -1.5.
So we can call it the sharp square play, right? Like that's what we call it at Wager Talk when everybody's on the side. Yeah, that's not fun. Hey, I have been on the Colts bandwagon since week 1. I love this Colts team. I bet them -6.5 last week. I heard Kyler Murray was going to be out, and luckily I came back in on the other side and had the Cardinals. So I got to save a little bit of face there because I was real heavy knowing that Kyler Murray wasn't going to play. I hammered that. And I thought, you know what? Sit back. As VR would say, sit back. You did your job, Kelly. Who cares? You got
Can you do that? You don't
lines,
do that.
Lines 10. You got 3.5 points better than the market. And I thought,
you don't
Jacoby Brissett? Is he really a 3.5 point different from Kyler Murray? No, he wasn't. And in fact, maybe he should have been the starter. But back to that Colts team, I do like Daniel Jones. I do think this team has a great running game. My problem kind of is this Chargers team has kind of had some like wonky weeks, right? They lose to the Giants. They're in a rock fight last week with the Dolphins. They get out of there with the win because, you know, they have a great kicker. By the way, if you have him on your fantasy team, kudos to you. That's how I lost last week, Ariel.
Oh, great.
Yeah, because the kicker scored like 17 points or something asinine. It's okay. I joined Brett's family's fantasy league and I'm like, oh, $250. Fine, I'll join. Like, I'm going to kill all of you. Want to guess what my record is?
Bad.
1-5. You want to guess what Brett's record is? 0-6. And we play each other this week. It is like the toilet bowl. I have lost 3 weeks by less than a point. Every time I lose by less than a point, I put on Instagram.
That always happened in my fantasy team, like my fantasy team in my family league too. I always sucked in that league. I don't know what the jinx is.
I don't know. As long as we win the big money league, which I have people who are all in charge of that, not me. I did get to have a couple say, I told him not to draft Harrison Butker. And then I told him why. And they told me I was crazy. And needless to say, Eddie Pinheiro is now our kicker. I was like, are we going to listen to me yet? That is not Harrison Butker's year. I'm telling you, just listen to the stars every once in a while. I'm not that crazy.
You have to listen to the stars. Now they think that you're getting political, but it has nothing to do with politics. It has everything to do.
I love Harrison Butker. What do you mean? You want to get political?
I'm saying people are going to think that way, and it has absolutely nothing to do with politics.
It has to do with his birthday and astrology. And if you guys watch,
Kelly and I are the people that ask a guy what your birthday is. Yes, we are those psychopaths.
So here's kind of the thing. Like Sammy P, Joe Ostrowski, and I do bet sweats. Well, we had the witch come on because they were like not a believer. And then when Sammy was at the wedding a couple weeks ago, he was like, what's the play? And I was like, it's the Chiefs. He's like, really? I kind of like the other side. And I was like, it's the Chiefs. Boom, write down your Ravens, go right down and score. Right down and score. And he's texting me. I'm like, okay, she said it's going to be a high scoring game. I sent you the cliff notes from her like hour-long astrology segment. And then of course, like all the things start to come to fruition. So yes, some of the witchy stuff is part of the handicap. At least there are certain people I'm not drafting on my fantasy team in certain years. Okay. That's what it is. I'm going to make a spreadsheet.
Like you.
I'm going to make a spreadsheet and I'm going to sell it on your website.
You this year. Can't draft Kelly, but we're going to listen to her
either. Anyway. But for some reason, I have been doing very well in the NFL. By all intents and purposes.
We knew the reason.
Yeah. All
It's
right.
okay. We
Well,
can't expose
anyway,
the
yeah, look,
reason.
I like the Chargers. I'm not going to bet the Chargers with my hard-earned money, but there's a couple of spots where I played them in some contests. I think I played them in the Las Vegas Review Journal contest, and I got to play them in the pick every single NFL game. But yeah, I don't love that every single sharp person I know is on the Chargers. That's
Mhm.
not a fun place to be. Let's see who else.
What about international games? How do you feel about those?
I never play those in Survivor. Chris and I lost. Packers were 14-point favorites, 13.5-point favorites in London over the Giants a couple years ago. They were up double digits at half and lost the game out. Maybe they're like 8.5-point favorites, but they were up double digits. I try to black out all of those losses because otherwise Chris and I wouldn't be friends. I don't like them from a Survivor perspective, but like the Rams laying points on a neutral field, what am I missing? Sure, the
That's what I
Jags.
said.
Listen, Trevor Lawrence is
It
lucky to be
feels so
walking.
trappy to be getting 3 with a Jacksonville team that's always in London.
They're always in London. And look, I get it. Trevor Lawrence got sacked 7 times last week. It was not great, but I'm just not sold on this LA Rams team by any means. I wasn't sold on them to start the season, whether it was the rumors, the Matthew Stafford wasn't 100%. Now you got Puka Nacua who's hurt. I just don't love it. If I had 3 and a hook in a contest, everything is 3 flat. I would probably take the Jags. I don't love it. I'll tell you, I picked the Jags in the pick every game on the board one, but
It seems trappy.
it
It
does.
definitely seems
Jags was
trappy.
on my long list early. Jags looked just abysmal offensively last week. And usually when teams look really bad one week, I kind of like to back them the next. Or when teams look too good the week before, I'm looking at you, New York Giants,
Oh, well,
Denver.
let's talk about a team that looked bad the week before, the Philadelphia Eagles, and they're getting the Minnesota Vikings this week. I think that game's going to be a massive split because you've got the Vikings catching 2.5 at home. Seems like a decent teaser spot at least. And I
Absolutely.
think you like Minnesota, right?
I do like Minnesota. Here's the real thing. There's a lot of problems right now in Philadelphia that nobody is talking about, right? Not only do you have a team that is, well, I guess you could call them banged up, right? But I think it's more like bad vibes. It's just kind of weird, right? They lose to the Broncos up double digits, just piss poor loss. They go into New York just expecting to win that football game. The Giants and Cam Scatterboo run all over them. Jackson Dart down the field. I don't know how hurt Saquon Barkley is. Jalen Hurts can't seem to get on the same page as the receivers. You talked about fantasy. You know how I know because I got AJ Brown on my fantasy team, and I'm like, somebody please trade him away from me because it is so frustrating. And now you want to lay points on the road with this team. This is a team 7-14 against the spread after a loss. I know Minnesota's coming back from 2 weeks in London, but they just had a bye week. Their defense is number 2. And in EPA, sorry, per play. I should have finished that thought before I got this. And then this morning I saw JJ McCarthy and I was like, oh God, no, please, please, no. Because I have so many teasers with the Vikings. And I took the 2.5 and I was like, please, dear God, no. It looks like it's going to be Carson Wentz. So we were talking about narratives. Hello, Carson Wentz versus his former team. That's not a narrative. Everybody loves these storylines. The NFL is an entertainment company, right?
It is true. I forgot about the storyline with Carson Wentz and the Eagles. That makes sense. I didn't think about it. I think I'm going to tease the Vikings this week. Who's another good teaser leg? Your Broncos?
So I did not tease the Broncos because I could not find a 7.5. So I only have one out that has -110 teaser. So here's the big thing that I like to tell people. And Crack and I kind of went on this tangent on Monday. If you've got a local and he's charging -120 for teasers, tell him you want -110. Worst thing he's going to say is no. The reality, though, is all of these legal books are never going to get you the price on these teasers.
Nope.
So I am
Everyone
basically
now is -135.
exactly. And so I'm basically beholden to if this one guy who gives me -110 on teasers, puts up a 7.5, or if the game is at 1, for example, I wanted to tease the Colts. He's had it at 1 all week because he knows I'm going to go in there and just nail these teasers. So the ones that I do have in pocket, Dolphins, Vikings, Cowboys, Falcons. Now, Yanni always tells you on last call, wait till Sunday morning. And the last couple of years, I showed a lot of discipline, but this year, it doesn't matter.
No discipline.
It doesn't matter this year if you bet them on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. The teasers are teasing, and they have been really, really good. I've had one losing
But do
week
we
with the
still
teasers.
like Dallas with Trayvon Diggs deciding to do something weird in his house and get
Yeah.
in?
What was that about?
I don't know, but I really want to know the story.
I don't think we're gonna get to know the story,
No.
probably.
He'll say he fell or something stupid.
Here's the reality. They're still one of the best defenses in the league. Number 3 in scoring. I think CD is gonna go. I don't know what you're seeing on your end. I don't have my odds logic screen
I
open.
saw CD was going.
Yeah, that's what I was assuming early in the week when I gave out Dallas. So here's the reality. I think Dak Prescott is playing at an insane level. He is not hurt. I still like Dallas. I like Dallas in the teasers. I think Falcons in a teaser. Speaking of how hurt teams are, I picked the Niners to win the Super Bowl 20-1. Felt great about it. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Even if Purdy comes back and Kittle somehow makes some resurgence here. I mean, he's been sitting on my IR, and I'm like, should I just drop him? But then there's nobody else to pick up, so it doesn't matter. And he just gets to sit there in that slot. But I just think that the 49ers kind of showed some promise there against the Rams, and then they're just
no, it's just been an absolute decline. The injuries are just too much to overcome, especially on the defensive side of the ball where there's no hope anymore.
No Warner now.
Yeah.
No Nick
brutal.
Bosa. Those things are really tough. So to find a teaser spot, now you got me looking while we're sitting here because now I haven't looked today. Today's been kind of a crazy day. And so now I want to see if there is maybe a 1.5 here with the Colts because those things do happen. And some of the things that are really nice too, Ariel, that you're able to do is called open teasers. So sometimes I'll just tease all those teams and just leave a spot open and then fill them with somebody next week. Right. So if it is Sunday and, these teams have moved out of the teaser spot, then I can just plug and play with the following week. And sometimes those guys even offer spots where they already have the lines up for the following week. So you can take those after Sunday afternoon and Monday games if they happen to fall. So right now, let's see. Vikings still in play. Dolphins still in play. Patriots out of play, which is interesting because I did not tease the Patriots because he had them at 7 all week. I know that it did hit 7.5. Colts is now on the board and in play. Commanders, I was kind of hoping that maybe some Dallas money would come in. So I have Dallas on one side and then be able to tease the Commanders.
That's so typical you.
I know it is, but it's coming that way because Commanders is sitting right here at a 7. So hopefully I can get a 7.5 on the Commanders. Somebody wins the game by a touchdown. Kelly's very happy, right?